Are you aware that there are other security cleared individuals within the CPC that can and do receive regular security briefings?
I think you're speaking of Ian Todd, the Chief of Staff?
Among others, yes.
What the actual hell is going on with Canada? Today you had Justin Trudeau testify in super duper depth detail as to what his perspective and his experience is with, foreign interference, and then his opinion on what the leader of the opposition, Pierre, is doing, or what he rather should be doing in terms of combating this type of foreign interference. But as you just heard from that intro, they have been extremely misleading when they are trying to represent the facts at hand. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash this like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We just blew past 411,000 subscribers, and now we're looking at 412 within reach. In this video, actually, this is going to have to be a multi-part video series, right? There are so many different things to cover. So what we're going to be taking a look at, who that individual was, by the way, the lawyer that was talking to Justin Trudeau in the little intro, that was the Conservative Party representative lawyer. And so he just destroyed Justin Trudeau, just like the Freedom Convoy lawyer did a couple of years ago. So the first 17 minutes, all right, if you don't want to see it, but if you do want to see it, the first 17 minutes of when I start playing the clip is going to be that lawyer talking and pretty much prying Justin Trudeau, and you're going to see Trudeau just panic, and he's got the blinker sign on his face going, I'm processing what the hell's going on. After that, while that was happening, you had the leader of the opposition, Pierre, while this is all happening live, came out with an official statement on his X account. You may or may not have seen it. I'm going to read it out after the 17 minutes has passed, just like I did on the live stream. And then after that, we're going to be taking a look at the Attorney General, who explains or is bashing Trudeau on why he is testifying. And then Trudeau explains to Canadians that Canadians twice, in 2019 and in 2021, voted fairly for Justin Trudeau, even though Justin Trudeau has admitted that China has interfered with those elections. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to make a substantial change. So there's a lot to look at in this video. But in another video, in an upcoming video, and I really want you guys to turn post notifications on for this. I'm not going to fit it in this one. It's going to be in another one either later today or tomorrow. Justin Trudeau and a lawyer, they accuse the Freedom Convoy of being Russian propaganda and mis and disinformation campaign. I cannot believe it. That's the most absurd thing I've heard in a very, very long time. That was made by Canadians here. It doesn't matter who talked about it. It was global at that point. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But nonetheless, we're going to focus at the topics at hand in this video. Are you ready? There's going to be a lot. At some points, it might get a little bit boring, but I do try to keep you as entertained and as, plugged in as possible. Without further ado, here we go.
Am I correct that you have top-level security clearance in government by virtue of your office?
Yes.
Do you know which minister is responsible for the communications security establishment, sir?
Yes.
Minister of Defense?
Yes.
Do you know Ms. Zita Astravas, sir?
Yes.
She worked on each of your Liberal Party election campaigns in 2015, 2019, and 2021, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And she worked in your PMO office as your Director of Issues Management until 2017, is that correct?
That sounds right, yes.
Are you aware that she was Chief of Staff to Minister Blair in 2021 in the lead up to the 2021 election campaign?
Yes, that sounds right.
And the Commissioner has heard that a politically sensitive warrant application that would have empowered CSIS to investigate foreign interference languished on Ms. Astravas's desk for approximately 54 days in the lead up to the 2021 election. Are you aware of that fact?
I believe there are questions about the dates involved.
Does that mean that you disagree with the overall time period of 54 days?
Yes.
Okay. And how long, in your understanding?
My understanding, it was a number of days before it was a number of days within those 54 days before it ever got near Ms. Astrovasa's desk.
Okay.
But again, these are things that I have learned over the course of the various testimonies over these past days, not anything I was aware of at the time.
Okay. Have you heard the figure 54 days at all in connection with these proceedings?
I've heard that you used it yesterday.
Okay. And if that time period is correct, 54 days, have you learned at all, or do you have any understanding as to whether that length of time for the processing of a CSIS application for minister approval for a warrant is ordinary, out of the ordinary, extraordinarily out of the ordinary? Have you formed any view on that?
Because I have, as Prime Minister, absolutely no involvement in the process whereby CSIS is granted warrants, I have no frame to conclude on that. What I can lean on is, I believe the director of CSIS raised that there was no flags about the timelines involved.
Okay. Mr. Blair remains in cabinet today, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And he serves as the Minister of National Defense today, doesn't he?
Yes.
Okay. Just give me a second.
Trudeau's smug face.
And has Minister Blair or anyone in his office at the time that he was Minister for Public Safety faced any consequences for the fact that that warrant application we've come to know did languish in that office for what I'm going to suggest to you is a period of 54 days?
Like I said, the director of CSIS himself testified that he had no issues with the timelines involved, and I can certainly say that I continue to have full confidence in everyone involved.
Okay. I want to switch subjects. You leveled some criticism and professed bewilderment at the leader of the CPC this morning not agreeing to receive a security clearance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Am I correct, sir, that Mr. Poilievre has said that the reason he does not wish to receive the security clearance is because he does not want to be constrained in terms of the use he can make of the information that he would receive?
I don't believe that was his argument. I believe his argument was that he wouldn't be able to talk about the information he received.
How is that different than what I just said?
As leader of a political party, you have many, many tools at your disposal to act on information you receive. You can choose to not sign the nomination of a candidate who is under a cloud of suspicion. You can choose to not elevate them to a critic's position. You can choose to not promise to make them a minister one day. You can have many. You can choose which committees they sit on. A leader of a party has many tools that they can use that are not requiring him to speak publicly about his knowledge. The leader of a party has quite a bit of power over what happens within that party, and that's why the ultimate decision maker in a political party should always be the leader.
Are you aware that there are other security cleared individuals within the CPC that can and do receive regular security briefings?
I think you're speaking of Ian Todd, the Chief of Staff.
Among others, yes.
I can't help but imagining how people would react if I sort of sat back and said, well, no, Katie Telford got cleared on this information. She made a determination about who could run for me or not, and I don't need to worry about that sort of stuff. Canadians didn't elect, or Conservative Party members didn't select Mr. Todd to make decisions about who could run for the Conservative Party of Canada. They expect Mr. Poilievre to take those decisions, but he has decided that he doesn't want to take those decisions.
Sir, just over the lunch break, and you didn't mention Mr. Todd at all in the bombshell disclosure that you made today, but just over the lunch break, in light of that, in response to your news this morning that you were aware of a number of CPC parliamentarians and former parliamentarians that are at risk of being compromised by foreign interference, Mr. Todd has advised that he has received a number of top secret briefings from the security establishment, and in none of these briefings has the name of any Conservative parliamentarian or candidate, past or present, been brought to the attention of Mr. Todd. Why is that?
Wow.
You'd have to ask CSIS for that, but my supposition is that Mr. Todd is not the one who is responsible for determining what candidates can run or not for the Conservative Party of Canada, that it would be the leader. And much of the information that is handed out to various individuals with security clearances is determined on their need-to-know basis.
You indicated today, as I indicated earlier, in a very public forum and in a very public manner, your knowledge of the names of CPC parliamentarians and the risk that they risk being compromised by foreign interference. Am I correct, sir, that one way that you could arrange for those threats to be mitigated is through the use of threat reduction measures under Section 12.1 of the CSIS Act?
Threat reduction measures are tools that CSIS has used regularly in many cases regarding different parliamentarians, and it is very possible that a number of those parliamentarians will have had visits from CSIS and either defensive briefings or others to try and mitigate the risks that they are going through. That is different from a leader choosing to willfully remain ignorant of
Wow, throwing lots of mud at Pierre.
Contentions, including by the NSICOP, that the leadership race that elevated him to leader was compromised by foreign interference.
And if the tool of the TRMs were used, you couldn't use the Leader of the Opposition's reluctance to obtain security clearance as an excuse not to provide that information to the CPC. Isn't that correct?
I'm sorry, I'm not following. Can you rephrase the question?
Sure. If someone wanted to get this information, this information about the names of the parliamentarians, for example, because of some imminent threat to the leader of the CPC, TRMs could be used, and in that event, it wouldn't be necessary for the leader of the CPC to obtain security clearance.
No, you're entirely wrong on that. If you were to know that a certain candidate had a high degree of exposure to foreign interference and vulnerability, either witting or unwitting, giving a threat reduction measure to that candidate would not necessarily, and quite frankly, in my experience, highly unlikely to have the candidate spontaneously decide to step down as either a candidate or a member of parliament and not run in the next election. That is a determination that only a leader can make, looking at the vulnerabilities of that candidate, looking at the behavior, and to use the words of the NSIA, potentially poor judgment or inappropriate behavior or untrustworthiness. Those are the kinds of things that only a leader can actually ensure for the team that they're building, and potentially future ministerial elevations that would then have to run into a security clearance process that would stop them like a brick wall. Knowing that as a leader, as you are hoping to become Prime Minister of this country, would seem to be a very basic bar to hit if you want to take national security seriously.
But the underlying premise of that answer you just gave is that the TRM can only be directed at the person affected and not the Leader of the Opposition. Isn't that correct? The TRM could be directed to Mr. Poilievre.
The identities of the people involved.
Marco Mendicino. That's why he stepped down as a Minister of Public Safety.
Available to only those with top secret clearances. So certainly CSIS could go to the Leader of the Opposition and say, you really have to be careful to instruct all of your MPs to stay away from this country, or to be concerned about diplomats from that country, or not accept money, or not accept support from these particular diplomats. But the TRM would be unable to identify which of those individuals are in question unless the leader chose to get a security clearance to be able to hear those names. And the fact that the leader does not leaves him in a position of being unable able to protect the integrity of his party.
I'm going to suggest that you're wrong on your understanding of the law as to what a TRM can and can't do and who it can be directed to. And I'm going to suggest that the fact that you leveled this accusation earlier today and didn't mention the possibility of a TRM was just for the purpose of grandstanding here today.
On the contrary, threat reduction measures are regularly used to highlight to people potential vulnerabilities. But having watched many, having known a number of parliamentarians who went through TRMs, they often come out of TRMs with a general sense of having to be more careful. But specifics are often not given, and there is no guarantee that a TRM to the leader of the party would include the names of the people most at risk or most engaged in potentially problematic activity. And that's why the refusal of the leader to actually access the intelligence on those names is, as I said, bewildering.
Do you agree that
Give the names then.
Often when CSIS or some other security agency shares classified information, the recipient is severely constrained in what he or she can do with that information?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, your own chief of staff yesterday gave evidence that the recipient of that information would not be able to use that information in any manner. Do you agree with that?
No, I disagree, because the party leader can choose to not allow someone to run for them for...
This lawyer is destroying Trudeau.
Knowing in the back of your mind that this is the real reason, but giving it as an example, I'd actually prefer to have this other person run instead, or you had business dealings in the past that means we're not going to...
Someone take a fat sip of a beer right now for me, please.
Prove injurious to national security. The leader has a level of power over who runs and what roles they have that doesn't require them to explain themselves. So again, the choice that Mr. Poilievre has made to not avail himself of available information, of readily available information to him if he were to get a security clearance and choose to take national security issues seriously, is unfortunate and shows a lack of seriousness around national security.
And in your
No, it doesn't.
salacious testimony earlier today, you mentioned that you're aware of the names of past and present Conservative parliamentarians, former parliamentarians, candidates that are in risk of being compromised by foreign interference. I'd like to ask you, are you aware of the names of any Liberal parliamentarians, former parliamentarians or candidates that are at risk of being compromised by FI?
Yes, and for other parties as well, because I have access to large amounts of information.
Right.
What?
Today, right?
Hold on a second. This guy knows that there's Liberal MPs as the Prime Minister of this fucking country, and he's not saying nothing? Are you kidding me? And you're accusing Pierre of not getting a security clearance? What the hell's Pierre gonna do? You haven't done shit, buddy. You haven't done shit with your knowledge of the situation, and you want Pierre to get a security clearance for what? So he can know some people? You know. Just spill the beans, you dumb idiot.
Right.
We spent an entire
Oh my
session
God.
the last time we had a public hearing talking about concerns and named individuals that that CSIS and intelligence agencies had within the Liberal Party. Don Valley North comes to mind as a riding. So as I have said many times,
Is that
there are
hand-on?
actions taken and choices made based on information we got because I had that security clearance.
Right.
Mr. Poilievre has decided not to get that security clearance, so he can't even know how to begin or not to make decisions regarding that information.
Okay, so you've acknowledged Mr. Dong. I want to see if you can help us with, in connection with the warrant application that we were talking about earlier, that I was talking about earlier with you. Can you confirm that either the target of the information or one or more of the individuals on the Van Wienen list were Liberal operatives, sir?
We object to
I
that question
cannot.
on the grounds of national security.
With all due respect, Madam Commissioner, when it suits the Prime Minister's purpose to say that there are Conservatives on a list that he can discuss or he can't discuss, that's fine. But when I ask for confirmation if there are Liberal operatives that are on a list,
I said yes.
my friends, well, I'm asking you in particular on that list there.
But that
Oh my
is
God.
Or on the Van Wienen list.
the Prime Minister has absolutely no engagement or authorities or involvement in the granting of CSIS warrants. That's a very different thing than concerns about parliamentarians who may have been exposed to foreign influence. And your attempts to conflate them are simply ineffective.
Well, you're attempting to evade the question. I just asked.
Yeah, you are.
There were Liberal operatives, not whether you could or couldn't do anything about it. That's all I'm asking for confirmation of.
Well, I'm not sure what we're talking about. If we're talking about the warrant,
How are you not sure what we're talking about, dumbass?
then there's an objection to the question. If we're talking about some other list, then ask the question about the other list.
So it's about the warrant? The
It's
question you're
about
asking is about the warrant?
the target of the warrant or the people.
Trudeau is so protected when it comes to this stuff.
The warrant.
Look at him sip his juice box water bottle
You
thingy.
have no choice, as you know. See whether the commission will pursue these questions or not.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner.
Thank you.
My message to Justin Trudeau is release the names of all MPs that have collaborated with foreign interference. But he won't. Because Justin Trudeau is doing what he always does. He is lying. He is lying to distract from a Liberal caucus revolt against his leadership and revelations he knowingly allowed Beijing to interfere and help him win 2 elections. I was briefed on October 14th, 2024 by Natalie Druin, a national security and intelligence advisor to the Prime Minister. Wow, we haven't heard about this. I've never heard about this yet. This is pretty wild. Where was I? National Security Advisor to Prime Minister David Morrison, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Global Affairs, and Daniel Rogers, Director of CSIS, about the matter of foreign interference from India. The CSIS Act allows the government to offer information to any Canadian about specific risks of foreign interference without forcing them into sworn secrecy or controlling what they say. So Pierre did get briefed, kind of a surface level briefing, but he did get it nonetheless. And this hasn't been mentioned by mainstream media. I've never heard this, folks. I'm plugged in, dude. I got like a bunch of YouTube channels, man. This is what I do. I'm plugged in, and I have not heard about this. Maybe it's gone over my head. Maybe it got swept under the rug. But let me know down in the live chat if you guys have heard about this, because I haven't heard that Pierre has been briefed by these people here. Receiving a secret briefing would, according to Justin Trudeau's chief of staff, it would prevent a recipient from using the information in any manner, and even where that is not the case, briefing political parties on sensitive intelligence regarding an MP could put the leader or representative of a political party in a tough position, because any decision affecting the MP might have to be made without giving them due process. Holy smokes, dude. This is incredible. I got goosebumps. This is better than a movie. Maybe Chrystia Freeland was right. Who needs Disney? Not because of the $13.99 a month subscription, but because of the contrast and comparison of entertainment value. Disney is just a bunch of make-believe stuff, right? This is real. And it's pretty freaking interesting. It's an emotional roller coaster, I'll tell you that. And it's a lot longer than a 2 hour, an hour and 40-minute Disney movie. Maybe Freeland was right. We should all cancel Disney and pay attention to politics. Holy crap. This is nuts, man. Furthermore, my chief of staff, Pierre Poilievre's chief of staff, has received classified briefings from the government. At no time has the government told me or my chief of staff of any current or former Conservative parliamentarian or candidate knowingly participating in foreign interference. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang. Can I get a cha-cha-cha in the live chat? Wow, there you go. So it's been decided. Pierre Poilievre speaks the truth in an official leader of the opposition statement. If Justin Trudeau has evidence to the contrary, he should share it with the public. Now that he has blurted it out in general terms at a commission of inquiry, he should release the facts. But he won't because he's making it up. Oh my God, not only am I going to cancel Disney, I'm also going to cancel Apple TV. Holy smokes, man. This is a novel unraveling itself. All right. It is beyond rich for Justin Trudeau to grandstand, given that the record now shows that he and his government, with all the benefits of government agencies, were repeatedly warning about foreign interference, including within the Liberal Party, and refused to act. Oh, my God. All right. So far, folks, I'm going to get rid of Disney. I'm going to get rid of Apple. And if the rest of this letter is good, I might get rid of Netflix too, man. This is crazy. It is Justin Trudeau and his government who repeatedly claim that they weren't aware of foreign interference happening right under their noses, despite a paper trail of warnings from officials. Oh, mon Dieu! As they say, c'est tout fini. Get some more cha-cha-chas in the chat. Oh my God, the Pierre clapback. And this isn't even, folks, this isn't even question period. This isn't even Pierre saying it out of his mouth. This is in written form, and it's just as good. Oh, or I'm just like a super big nerd when it comes to this. It is Justin Trudeau's government which mysteriously sat on a CSIS surveillance warrant application for a Liberal power broker for 54 days. That's right. That sat in Bill Blair's office, was it? Oh my God. And then you have the information that also sat for the Emergencies Act stuff that sat in Marco Mendicino's office for a long time. Holy smokes, it's because they're always on vacation. They're always on vacation. They're not in their office looking at what the hell is sitting right on their desk in the red binder, just like in the movies. Just like in the movies, it says top secret, view right now for your eyes only. And they can't even do that. Dude, how does a super duper extremely top secret CSIS surveillance warrant application, that's one hell of a freaking tongue twister, how does that sit in a Liberal office for 54 days? Like, what the hell are these people doing? All right, I still see some cha-cha-chas in the live chat. Man, this is nuts. All right, we got two more freaking small. We got two more sentences to get through. Can it get any better? Let's find out. It is Justin Trudeau's party that willingly allowed the PRC consulate to bus in PRC international high school students to vote in the now infamous hand-dong nomination race. Oh my God! Pierre is insane for doing this. Oh my goodness. Well, I just said it couldn't get any better, and here we are. Man, I gotta text my wife, and she gotta bring home a beer. She's out with the kids right now. Oh my God. I need a beer, man. This is nuts. There's one more sentence. I almost want to hold on to it. It's only, you know when you binge watch a show, right? On you're supposed to be canceled, Disney, right? Or whatever program you've got, your subscription. You know when you binge watch a show and you get to the last episode and you're like, maybe I'll watch it tomorrow. You know, maybe I'll save it a little bit, and then because you don't want to go through it. It's like eating a full pizza like as fast as you can, right? Eating that meal or binge watching that show as fast as you can. You're like, should I do it though? And you get close to the end, and you're like, I'll just save it a little bit. I'll just save it, right? But then you're thinking as time goes on, but do I really want to save it? I'm going to lose that momentum, right? Like, that's a really good show, or that pizza was phenomenal. And that savory feeling that I have, let's just conclude it right now and get it over and done with, because I want that immediate gratification, which is what we're going to be taking a look at right now. It is Justin Trudeau who ignored my calls to release the names of parliamentarians referenced in this spring's NSICOP report who have wittingly worked for the benefit of foreign governments against the interest of Canadians. Oh my God, Pierre! The nail in the coffin. Holy shit! That's by text form. Pierre is more competent in a official leader of the opposition letter about foreign interference than Justin Trudeau is while he's testifying. Holy crap!
So, Prime Minister, this public inquiry's happened, at least in part, because there are questions about whether Canadians can and should have confidence in important things like their elections, the parliamentarians who represent them, and the resolve and ability of their government to defend against this threat of foreign interference in democratic processes. From your perspective, from your experience, can and should Canadians have confidence in their elections, their parliamentarians, and their government's resolve? And if so, why?
Well, first of all, on the matter of the integrity of the elections in 2019 and 2021, we actually created for the first time in this country processes whereby top public servants and our security agencies would monitor and, if necessary, go public about threats to the election's integrity as a way of ensuring that the election integrity holds. And that is why we have heard repeatedly throughout this process and over the past years testimony from all top intelligence officials in this country that the results of the 2019 and 2021 elections were determined by Canadians alone. That is a big thing for Canadians to feel confident in, that despite attempts at interference by foreign countries, Canadians decided the outcomes of those elections. Now, what this commission has I think.
I need to pause it for a second. Keep in mind that Justin Trudeau has also admitted in the past that China did interfere in the, I think it was 2021 election, but it didn't have any significant or substantial impact on the results. So just keep that in mind.
Is the depth and the extent to which this government has taken seriously the responsibility of protecting our institutions, our democracy, and indeed Canadians from the actions of hostile state actors from the countries that have been named a number of times throughout this process and others. I think Canadians can see the extent to which we have developed tools, we have created measures, we have moved forward on initiatives that are all designed to protect our democracy in a world in which the threats are increasing, in which the impact of active authoritarian states is being increasingly felt, in which democracy itself everywhere around the world is under threat. I think part of what this commission has also demonstrated is that for everything that the federal government can do, it is not alone in its responsibility to counter and protect against foreign interference. As I mentioned earlier with the UCC, diaspora communities have been stepping up their tools in terms of sharing with their members how to protect themselves against foreign interference. Universities and businesses are working on that, and indeed political parties, many of them have decided to get their leaders briefed up so they can avail themselves of top secret information or secret information to ensure that they can look Canadians in the eye and say the integrity of our political party processes holds. It is an ongoing effort, and it'll never be enough. It is something we're constantly going to have to update, renew, bring on new tools on, because the world we are in is a complex and dangerous one. But our ability to be thoughtful, reasonable, and responsible in developing those tools to both protect our democracy and uphold the freedoms and principles that make our democracy strong, is something this government works on and continues to focus on every single day.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Madam Commissioner, those are my questions.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the video. Of course, if you've made it to the very end, I'd like to encourage you guys, if you haven't yet already, just to see if you've liked the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you haven't, I would like to encourage you guys to do so. I look forward to seeing you in the next one to go over the whole Freedom Convoy is Russia, disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.